Hey everyone, Ekman here with another video, and today we've got a couple of deck lists for the OP11 meta of the One Piece card game with the new star decks in mind. So they're either the upgraded versions of the star deck leaders themselves or a build with some new cards from the star decks and some older leaders too. So these are just still like day one deck lists. I won't say that these are final builds for any of these, but I think these are really good starts for anyone trying to build these decks in this format right now. So also, not all of these star decks are created equal, and the fact that some of them, like for example Buggy, only really support the one leader, right? Some decks have some more viable cards across the board, since in comparison, I think green, the package that it got were pretty diverse, so we're going to look at a lot of green decks as well. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to doing some more testing with these in the future, and I think this is going to be some really fun testing. So real quick, if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe. We make a lot of content for the One Piece card game, so you don't want to miss it. Then also, if you want any of the deck lists that we're talking about today, you can find them on my team deck list page on my website, which is linked in the description. And I'm going to continue to update this page with more deck lists that I've been working on as we continue through this meta right now. So we've got like a dozen or so deck lists right now. And again, we're going to continue to update this too. So chances are, if you're watching this, when this video is like a week later, I'll have some different builds specifically with some of these leaders that after some more testing. And again, I'm looking forward to doing that as well. So that's going to be it. Let's go into the leaders themselves, starting off with our first one, which is Shanks. So, this is a red leader that was pretty dominant for most of OP10. And then in EBO2, it fell off a little bit. And a lot of people were kind of interested to see what these star decks would look like. And by and large, I think most of the cards were not very viable for it, but the two super rares I think are pretty good for the deck. So specifically, we do have these Shanks here. So if your opponent has a character with 8k pace or more, give this card in your hand -3 cost, and then on play, if your leader has the red hair pirates type, R is Uta, your leader gains plus 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. So that is kind of very strong. It makes our leader a 7k, which means that using our leader effect, we can get out of a 7k attack with no Dawn invested, which is really nice. And then also just having like this big 10k body on the board for potentially cheaper is really nice too. So I think all that is very strong. I do wish this had the film type though. I understand that why Shanks doesn't always have to have the film type, but it would have been nice. Mostly because we also have this Uta, which does have the film type. If you have a character with 10k power or more, give this card in your hand at -4 cost, and then blocker, kind of how it is. So I don't really know how good I think this card is, right? I think this and the 4-drop chopper are mildly interchangeable, right? They're both like cheaper blockers that you do get some benefit for also being a 2k in your hand as well, which is really nice. I think this could work for any deck that just ends up having some big power bodies on the board as just like a cheap blocker to use with those 2 extra Dawn. But I think this is still like a mildly good card. I think like this is always a card that if there ends up being times when we have 10k power or more, that this card can just be very viable. So other than that, we're not playing anything I think too special for the deck. We are playing more of the red hair package for this one specifically, just to help us find this card a little bit more. We've got the 10 cost Shanks. We can also run the 10 cost from OP10 OP06 as well, which we'll talk about when we look at the Uta deck. But I think that this is kind of the idea. There's also like a great kind of interaction with Dragon where you can play it. You can give up to 2 Rested Dawn to itself, so then it's an 11k, and with that extra 2 Dawn, if you're on 10, you can play out the Uta. So Dragon and Uta I think have some really good synergies, because it is just kind of the best way to play out a 10k while still like being able to use the Uta effect, which is really nice outside of just being able to play Shanks. But you can't really if your opponent doesn't play something with 8k power or more, then this always is going to be a 9 cost, so a little bit expensive. So not a thing, I don't think I'm reinventing the wheel too much, but here's just I think a basic build for Shanks with these cards in mind. And then Uta is the other deck to kind of consider. So again, this card does say if your leader is red hair pirates, R is Uta, you get that plus 2k power as well. So the kind of idea for this one, if you guys don't even know what this leader does either, when attacking, you may trash 1 film type card from your hand, give it to one of your opponent's characters -2k power during this turn, then add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. So this deck has the potential to be one of the best consistent ramp decks in the game. The fact that all you have to do is discard a card from your hand. It has to be the film type, but that in mind, as long as you get that, you get to ramp every turn. So that can be very strong. So the idea for this one is we go second. On our 4 Dawn, we play either the Bond Clay or the Iron. These cards are also able to like the Ein also is a film card, so you can discard this and then get the ramp. So you go from 4 to 6. You start the next turn at 8, so you play any copy of like either the Shanks, the Ben Backman, or the Monkey D. Dragon, and then after that, you don't even have to use your leader effect anymore. You're just at the 10 Dawn. So otherwise, you could be at 7 if you don't have the ramp card to go with it, and then you can go discard another card on the next turn, which means then you're at you end the turn at 8 and you go up to 10 at the end. So pretty easy for you to get to the max 10. It means that you can play the Shanks pretty early afterwards, or the 10 drop Shanks. This is the other one, and I really don't know which one of these is better right now, either this one or the Rush one, but being able to KO a character with 10k power or less, I think is very strong right now. In fact, this is also a film type character, is great for synergy for this deck too, and I think all that is very helpful for how Uta will work in the future. So there are different ways to build it. Also, you could play the 9-drop Linlin if you want to help you get that additional card advantage back or heal back, just because this is a 4-life leader and we are being a little bit greedy with our value, but being able to consistently get to our 10 drops, I do think is really strong, and being able to take advantage that we can be a 7k leader with this Shanks, I think is strong too. So not much more to say. We do just have a kind of the film package. I end up also, we'll see this card I think a little bit throughout the day too, but this one just having the film, supernova, and straw hat type characteristics, even though like the effect is a little bit overcosted, right? Having to spend 2 Dawn to be able to give something minus 1k power is a little bit low. And I kind of also wish this was a 2k. If this was a 2k, I think this card would be a little bit better, but even as a 1k, I think there is some ways for this to get value. You could just play this kind of early out too, and then you could have some situations where Beckman would be able to get rid of something. But again, just having the film type is I think really important for what this card is for this deck, and you'll see in the couple other builds that it kind of pops up because of the supernova type too, which is good. So not much more to say about Uta. I think there are some cool ways to build this deck. I'm not sure how viable it's going to be in general, but it's been cool to be able to do some deck building with it too. So there it is. Next up, we've got Bonnie. So Bonnie's been a pretty consistent leader for the last year or so that has been in the meta since OP11 released, and we did get some support from this deck. Honestly, it's a little bit middling, but there are some just kind of upgrades for some cards and slots. Specifically, I think Beige is kind of better than the Killer. Just the fact that this does get a draw 1 and trash 1 is pretty strong. You don't get to specifically get a +1 in card advantage, but generally just finding the card you need is a little bit better. So I do like the idea of that. The Kidney Killer 2-drop is very strong, I think, for our deck and a lot of other decks, which we'll see in a little bit. But on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Supernovas type card added to your hand, then place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order, and then on opponent's attack, you may trash this character to set up to 1 of your Dawn cards as active. So specifically for Bonnie, what you can do is that on the attack, you can use this effect to pop it, and then afterwards you get that 1 Dawn back, and you can use that on that same attack for your leader effect, as long as you sequence it the right way, right? You activate Kidney Killer, you get the Dawn active, and then you can use the Bonnie effect to then rest something on the board, which is very good. So having that effect later is good for, I think, specifically Bonnie. Not a lot of decks inherently for green have ways to use their Dawn afterwards, but I do think it's very good. We also do have the Basil Hawkins, just a 4-drop 2k, which is Supernovas, and there are some spots where you just play this out early, and then you're able to get that 1 Dawn every turn, just to kind of have something like a backup copy of Eau Rouge, in the fact that your opponent kind of has to answer it, and if you don't, you get your leader effect for free every turn, which I do think is very strong. But otherwise, we're just kind of playing our standard cards. We're playing Cavendish, we're playing Carrot, we're playing Hody Jones as well for a late game. We have 4 copies of 8-drop Captain Kidd, and we also have the Shanks, which this is really strong, I think, in this meta specifically for being able to try to just remove a big body that was played from a blue and purple Luffy. I think Bonnie has a good chance to be a really solid deck right now in particular, and even if they go like super wide, like Dofi, just being able to buy you that extra turn can be just very strong if you already have your own board set up too. So not much more to say about this one, but I think Bonnie is pretty viable in this next format too. And here's just an example build for Bonnie. And then next up we've got Carrot. So Carrot like weirdly got support from this deck, mostly because of this 10-drop Law and Beppo, which is not only Supernovas type, but also a Minx type, which means that you do get some benefits from this deck in general. So on play, rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters, and that character will not become active in your opponent's deck next refresh phase. Then if your opponent has 2 or more rested characters, your leader gains 2,000 power until the end of the next end phase. So this deck also has just some ways to benefit from that, and also just be flexible on our Dawn too, which is really nice. So specifically, we have the stage Zoe. So activate main, you may rest the stage if your leader has the mix type, set up to one of your Dawn cards as active, and end of your turn, set up to one of your mix type characters as active too. So which can also mean your 10 drop, which can also mean like the Pedro blocker, you can attack with it and then restand it. But also the fact that we get the support from the set from EBO2. So on play, if you have 3 or more Dawn cards in the field, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Zoe and put into your hand, and then place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order, and you get to play 1 from your hand. So also just having this carrot out just means that we do just have a way to use our leader ability every turn until they remove it, which is great, and then being able to get that advantage. So what also that means is that we have a way to get 11 Dawn turns essentially. So even if like we don't start our turn with the Law and Beppo in our hand, what we can do is we can use the Wanda, look top 5, get any Minx cards, so that can just get the Law and Beppo, get the Dawn back with Zoe, and then we can play the Law and Beppo in the same turn, which is great. So I think that's very helpful for the deck in general. So other than that, top end is kind of a similar, right? We've got the Hody Jones, we've got the Eustace Kid, and the Shanks. We've got some blockers, including the new 2-drop carrot from the promo pack. The fact that it's just a 2-drop blocker that has the Minx type is enough for us, and then just does get like that additional benefit from the carrot as well. So we're also playing Electrical Luna since it is searchable. I don't know if this card's going to be as good in this meta as it has been in EBO2, but it is something that you can consider, and the fact that it's searchable means that it's not like the worst card in the deck. So I think this deck has some real potential. Maybe not this build specifically, right, but I have been working on it a little bit, and I do see some cool things and cool combos that this deck gets to do. So here's the build here from Carrot, and then we've got 2 builds of Law, the green and yellow one and the green and red one. And I want to like super disclaimer these two that these are just definitely just works in progress. These both these decks are just really combo based. They're very ratio based. They're very just based on their card pool, and so it's very easy for this deck to have like the wrong ratio a little bit and feel a little bit worse. Like it's very specific compared to I think other builds on the exact ratio cards that you have to run. So I think that's something you have to consider on these builds, and these are just kind of my first builds for these decks and not again the end goal for what they are. These are just what I'm going to start with when I do some more testing with them. So that aside, the green and yellow Law, I think this has gotten a lot of strength in the last little bit. I know it's doing well in Japan right now too, and it's just a really interesting deck as we get more pieces for it. So from OP11 specifically, we do get this new Kabong Kane Beige, which blocker on your turn. If a Supernova type character other than this one would be removed from your field by your opponent's effect, you may add it to the top of your life face down instead. So this just means that you get to reuse your effects for not only like the yellow Eustace Kid, but also for this card, right? If you put a 5-drop in there, then you're able to play it again off your leader effect, which is really, really nice. So that's strong. We do have a new 5-drop with X Drake. So on play, if your leader has the Supernovas type, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, then add up to one of your Dawn cards is active at the end of this turn. So this effect, we really don't have anything to use with that extra Dawn on your opponent's turn, but it is nice to be able to play something off the top of our life and get that rest, which is good too. Obviously, Kid and Killer being able to use this card to help us get not only a higher cost card on the board that help us get to the 5 that we need to be able to switch our get the thing off the top of our life, but if we play it with the Law can bounce back to our hand and play it again, and we get another draw, which is really nice. Just really works really well in tandem with the 1-drop yellow Luffy, which is cool, and then the rest of the deck. So the top end is obviously very volatile, right? If there's some better tech cards and stuff, right? I think this is like a really basic build, but there are ways to make it a little bit more customizable, especially for the meta, to try to address what they're trying to do. So in general, I think this deck really does benefit from the new cards, and here it is there. And then the red and green Law, same kind of thing, right? It's a green 2-drop supernova that lets you search for other supernovas, and Law is just really good for bouncing those cards back to hand to play them again. And Kid and Killer, I think, is just a great card for that too. So other than that, I kind of mentioned that the 1-drop red Luffy, the fact that it's a Supernova and Straw Hat Crew type character is good enough for this deck for consistency pieces off searching from our Nami as well as our Bonnies and our Kid and Killers, right? So that's some good synergy. I don't have room right now for the for the 2-drop there to Dawn to be able to help us find our 1-drop red cards. But this also, the fact that this can be searched from the Dawn, Nami, and any of our green supernova searchers is just good, right? Like, even though the card is just mid on its activate main, it still could be helpful. It still lets us do something and help us kind of bully a card on board sometimes, and then we can bounce it back to hand. So I think this has like a lot of synergy with red green loft based on previous builds that have existed in the past, and then we do have like our just general good stuff build that we can do with it. So I think that's really strong. I think there's some real potential with this leader as well, with the new cards, and this is just again the start build from me. So there we go. All right, and next up we've got Buggy, and kind of as previously mentioned, Buggy is a little bit linear when it comes to deck building and its support, right? Most of the cards just kind of say like if your leader is Buggy, or just are very specifically for this leader and no one else. So this is my first build for the deck here, and I do think there are some great things to go with it. A couple of things I would just want to preface with. One, we do have the 4-drop Mihawk for this deck too that we can be using. The fact that this only plays a 5-cost specifically though, based on like this build, means that it's not very valuable, but there are some ways to make it valuable in other builds, so we can see that in the future. But also the fact that I know a lot of people are going to be like, why are you playing Impel Down All-Stars? You don't even have you can't even do the thing. It's literally for the trigger for this effect, right? I think this deck has just so many ways to discard cards from our hand, right? Like most cards kind of say this, right? Like the draw 2, trash 1 from here, the draw 2, trash 1 from here, and then the draw 3, trash 2 from Alvida. It just means that there's a lot of ways for us to get rid of dead cards in hand. And when this deck is really specifically about having cards in hand to be able to use our effects, being able to draw 2 from Impel Down All-Star, or Sanji's Pilaf trigger can just win you the game, because it just gives you enough cards to do what you want to do with it. So with that in mind, that's why we're playing these cards. If you don't like them, that's fine. You can take them out. Specifically for Impel Down All-Stars, you can play Cross Guild. This card's fine. There's also the stage with the Bluffs Island. I'm not really sure if I like this card or not. You have to, bottom 2, draw 2, which is great for getting deeper into the deck, but I don't know if we need that kind of consistency, because we do just, again, get natural card draw from the deck too. And that -1 you get from playing out the stage itself can kind of catch up with you sometimes. So that's just my thoughts. I need to do more testing with Buggy in general, but those are my reasons for the cards that we're including that may be a little bit atypical. But other than that, right, we just play the Buggy cards, right? Specifically, I think this 8-drop is fantastic. Just being an 8-cost 7k that also gets you protection and also plays a card from your hand is really good. We have a bunch of new 4-drops with the Kabaji being a 2k that also can turn into a blocker, and a 6k blocker on your opponent's turn. We have Moji as well, being able to use this card to be a blocker that draws us a card later, which is great. Both these cards are 2ks as well. And then we also have the 4-drop Buggy as well. Activate me, you can trash 1 card from your hand and trash this character. If your leader is Buggy, play up to 1 cross guild type character with a cost of 6 or less from your hand. So what that lets you do is that, for example, on 4, you can play this card for 4 and then just go into the 6-drop Mihawk. Or for 8, you can, if you use your effect on 5, you can use Mihawk and Crocodile here, play out the Buggy, and then use that to play out the Mihawk as well. So I think all that is very strong for the deck too. We have ways to play multiple bodies off the Crocodile and the Buggy as well. And in general, I think this deck has, again, a lot of ways to just put bodies on the board, get your effects. And this 10-drop, I think, has a great chance to resolve naturally, which again has not really existed, I think, previously in this game too. So that aside, I think that this deck is really cool right now. It seems really viable. If you just want a deck that you can build from a starter deck, just buy 2 of these, and I think you're in a good spot. You just have to pick up a couple additional cards, but the deck is in a really good spot. So not much more to say. I'm going to be interested to see what builds of Buggy look like and how viable it is in the next couple weeks, but here is my build right here. Next up, we've got the Monkey D. Luffy, and generally speaking, I think most of the cards from this set are only really good for this one. I know a lot of people are kind of looking forward to maybe having some support for like the Star Deck 14 Luffy, or like the cost increase that this leader gives to things, but unfortunately, I don't really think that it works outside of like this one, right? Like the cards that we get from this one are pretty just really coded to say, one, they're either bad, if I'm being outright, like The Frankie is just kind of meh. The Soba mask, I know a lot of people are theorizing this with the black and or the blue and purple Luffy, but I haven't really seen it get that much value quite yet. If you're playing against Teach, though, being able to play this, a 4-cost 9K is pretty silly. So because you don't have to remove anything if on the board as long as you have it. So I think that's really interesting. But by and large, I think that this deck and the cards that you got from it are mostly only good for this leader in specifics. So one new card though. So this on play when attacking Luffy, Dawn -2. If your leader's multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Dawn in their field, your Straw Hat Crew type character's base power becomes 7k until your opponent's next end phase. So I think this card is really good for being able to do this. Also, this card could be mildly good in the green and purple Luffy. I think that's the only one that I would really consider with it because they play Sanji and Pudding. So this just is kind of like you get less Dawn with your leader effect from green purple. Or you don't use it in the same turn, but you can play this out, and then your leader becomes a 7k instead of a 5k. If you have Sanji Pudding out, you still just only lose 1 Dawn because you get that 1 Dawn back. So that's very good. But specifically with this guy, right, you can use it to with your leader effect, and you just don't lose Dawn for the turn, right? You actually become a 7k base, and you get 1 Dawn back active and 1 rested, and you can become an 8k based for the aggressively, and then you can still have this, make this a 7 cost with the leader effect too, which means that your opponent's going to have a mildly difficult time interacting with it. So all that I think is very good. The fact that we have 2 different cards that help us just get our ramp on our 3 Dawn turn with either the Nico Robin or the older Zoro just means that Law is just very good at finding the piece we need to be able to get that consistent ramp. So that's very strong and again, mildly consistent for us. I think the new Chopper is actually kind of busted. It just means if your opponent doesn't respect that this card can exist, if you're playing against the blue and purple Luffy, you just rest a Dawn, and then like you just get to go nuts, and you really only have to pay 2 Dawn for this if you're at 10, because the Dawn -2 means you really only, you get 1 Dawn back active. So you still only, like, you have 8 Dawn active after you play this Chopper, which is really good. So other than that, we have our kind of top end. We've got our 7-drop Sanji, we've got our 9-drop Luffy, and our 10-drop Luffy. I don't know which top end I like more right now. You can definitely lean to one or the other, which is great. But again, like the fact that we can very easily ramp back up to 10 afterwards, especially since we can be holding on to a Zoro, our Nico Robin to help make that happen is great. And then we have 2 copies of this Luffy, because this can just be like our best way to end the game, because we do lose the 2 Dawn and then we get it back active again, which is good. So that can help us too. So other than that, I have thought about playing like 5-drop Sanji and Pudding. We're not playing it right now, but since we have so many like Dawn -2 effects, we can get like that extra Dawn back for free. So for example, if we have like 5-drop Sanji Pudding out and then we play this 6-drop Luffy, we actually get to ramp 1, which is pretty silly, by using any Dawn 2 effects with a combination of Sanji Pudding and the Luffy leader effect. So I think that's something that we can get some like kind of cheesy combos with too if we want to. So not much more to say here, but here's the build from the purple and black Luffy, and I'm going to be really interested to do some testing with it. I think there's some really good synergy that you get too, which is really cool. So there it is. Next up, we've got Marshall D. Teach. And before this, the idea of how Marshall D. Teach was pretty linear, I think. The fact that you just play your Blackbeard Pirates, and now we just have a couple more to consider for our deck build, and I think some of them are pretty good, and we're just kind of going over the ones that we decided to add for it. So first, 2K Devon, it's just like better than Shiryu, right? Shiryu just never saw any play, so this one just having a way to like get something a -1 cost and get into range for something is good. The fact that you can kind of play it out early too, and then your opponent has to either remove it, and if you're playing against a deck that your opponent can't really remove very easily, it's good there. But then on the KO, if they do remove it, you get that cycle, so that's good for you. We also have like the San Juan Wolf here, which very easily this can become like a 6, 7, or even 8 cost blocker on the board, and even though you played it for 4, which makes it difficult for a lot of decks to kind of interact with, which is really nice there too. And then there's also the 6-drop Kuzan. So being able to be a blocker, and then also on KO, play up to 1 Blackbeard Pirates type character with a cost of 5 or less from your trash rested, which can be another 5-drop Kuzan, which then you can use later to, if you think that it's going to survive for the turn, you can use it to draw a card afterwards and then play another one of your 4-drops or 5-drops, which can be like Burgess here or like Von Augur to help you get that reduction. The fact also we have this Teach, which I kind of missed when I first read this card, that this does KO your own cards potentially if you want to. It's just any card with a cost of 3 or less. So on the turn that you play it, you can use its activate main to rest the character KO, like your Doc Q that's not going to get any value anymore, or your Devon that you thought was going to get some value but didn't and get that card draw, so that's good there too. And then our top end of Marshall D Teach and stuff. So I do think Tempest Kick is better than where it used to be. It's very easy for this deck to get 10 cards into your trash. So if we do have, like, for example, the 7-drop Teach out, if we're not on our 8 Dawn turn, we can do something like Tempest Kick into Teach to get rid of a 6 or less, which is just very good, I think, value there too. So other than that, you can see like we're playing less events in this build, especially like no copies of Finger Pistol, no copies of the Black Hole. Those can definitely be added back in. I just kind of found like we were running out of space for some cards, so those were kind of the first ones to go in my mind. But there is, I think, enough cards in this deck and this card pool that there will be some more choices for what you think is better. I think we'll see some more creative ratios for these decks too. And no way is this like a final build of Teach either, but this is just kind of my first build with the new cards in mind, and there we go. And then last we've got Yamato, and I think this is actually going to be like one of the more flexible builds for us too. I think there's just a lot of yellow and green Wano cards. I think the new support we got from this leader is just very good. It's just very good cards, and I'm going to be really interested to see what kind of the end goal for it is here. So we also do have like the old yellow Yamato too from Star Deck, I think, what, 9? This deck is very experimental. This is not a full build in any way, but I do kind of want to talk about it just because I want people to remember that this leader exists and we can definitely play it as well. But going over this one, right, the new support of like the 1-drop Yamato to be a searcher, like just having like another searcher in the archetype is huge. The fact that this can also convert into a 5k attack pretty easily is good too. And the fact that it searches Wano stuff, which doesn't really happen that often, and it's not locked to any color of stuff or any color of leader. It is a 2 cost or more, so it can't find copies of itself, but it can find other Yamatos as long as they cost 2 or more, which is nice there too. So, which I think I'd rather than the general restriction of, oh, you can't find cards named Yamato, but they can be any cost that we can see. So I think this doji is just great. The fact that you get to get rid of a 5 or less, for cheap is very good, and then later we can put it back into our life with Momonosuke, this 5 cost here too. This 6 cost is an absurdly good card in the Yamato, and I think mildly good in other builds too. The fact that you can just make it an 8k every turn as long as you have like extra Dawn that's attached somewhere is good. It does mean that some decks that like need Dawn attached to their leader or something make it a little bit less good, but the activate main every turn is good. And the fact that this does make your leader aggressively a larger attack as long as you have 2 or less life, which will be mildly often, I think, in a lot of builds there too. We have the Hody Jones, and we have and just kind of like a bunch of our just types of like cards we can play off of our life. We got like Neko, we got Kiko Nojo. Basil is just like an obnoxious card that your opponent just kind of has to either let them either have to pop this card, or your opponent gets like a 5k attack for free every turn, which is really good. And then just kind of the rest of the deck here. So I think this is just a surface build of Yamato. I also think like you could play like the 8-drop Kid. There could also be like a combination of like a Supernovas and Land of Wano build for this too, and I think that's can be very viable. So only the first build for this deck, but I think it's good in a lot of ways. And here's the build for Yamato, and then also this build. This one is again just a bit of a janky mess, but I think it has some potential. And we have kind of like the double search with like the pudding, just to be able to find specifically this 5-drop Katakuri. So activate main. Once returned, you may turn 1 card from the top of your life cards face up, give up to 1 rested Dawn to your leader or one of your characters. So the fact that this card can be helpful for putting Dawn on our leader to be able to get their leader effect is great. Yellow doesn't have like a great way to give Dawn to cards compared to others, where it's pretty free. So being able, like, Katakuri is like the one real kind of generic way, and you still kind of have to pay a cost for it. But it is a 6k blocker, which is really nice. Works really well with Momonosuke. The fact that it does have counter too, I think is helpful as well. And then just works well with kind of the rest of the deck. So other cards to consider too, we have Charlotte Linlin. So on play, you trash 1 card from your hand. Your opponent chooses 1. They either trash 2 cards from their hand or trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's life card. So this can just be very good for making our opponent just make some like weird choices. I think we'll have more cards in our hand in general, which is really nice, and just makes it easy for us to be, again, like very aggressive with a card like this one. And then also the Olin, which is a Land of Wano card and also Big Mom Pirates, which if you have one or less cards in your life area, you can play this card. So if this is your second life, or second to last life or last life, you get to play this card for free, which is just good. And we can kind of set that up with Hiyori if we really want to, which is good. And then I guess we can technically put it back into our life with Momonosuke if we are in these situations where that is the difference between us living and losing. And then your opponent won't really want to attack into you because then you get to play Olin out for free again. And it's active, so they don't have as many ways to interact with it. So I think all this deck has like some potential. I'm not going to say it's the best deck in any way, but I really want to try to see what this yellow package for Yamato and Land of Wano can really do. And obviously this deck can benefit from it more than I think the average yellow deck too. So there is the build there. But that's going to be it for me. Again, I feel like we're just kind of rambling for us today, but I think this deck is, these decks are really fun. It's been really fun to kind of theory craft based on some of the new cards that we've got. It's exciting to have these cards before the rest of the world too. And I think there's going to be some really creative builds the next couple weeks because of these increased card pools that we get. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know some builds that you guys are looking forward to as well. And that's going to be it for me. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.